So for the few people who are coming in for the first time, I'm going to show you Scratch. Okay, show you the Scratch. Sammy, I need you to go out. I have a class, Sammy. I have a class. Okay, so if you have Scratch installed, then it should look something like this. Okay, so this is Scratch, and on the left-hand side, I'll go through all the key parts. Okay, now I know some people have already played with Scratch before. If that's the case, I want you to still be listening because you might not remember everything from last term. Okay, so especially if you haven't been working with Scratch during the holidays, then this is a good reminder as to what Scratch is. Okay, on the left-hand side, we have our coding block types. Okay, we have coding blocks called motion, looks, sound, events, sensing, control, operators, variables, and my blocks. Okay. Next to it, we have our actual coding blocks. Now, if you're in this class, you should be able to read all of these blocks. Okay. If you're having trouble reading the word letters or reading the words for these blocks, then make sure you let your mom and dad know. Okay, but if you're in this class, you should be able to read all of these blocks. Now, you can see me scrolling up and down through all the different block types. I'm using a mouse, but you might be using an iPad or a touch screen. Okay, so if you're finding trouble scrolling up and down, then you'll also need to let me know. Okay, how do you let me know? You just raise your hand and I will answer you as soon as I can. Okay. All right. In the middle here, we have our coding area. So on the left-hand side was our coding blocks. In the middle here is our coding area. And our coding area is where we can drag and drop your blocks and connect them with each other. Okay, you can drag all these blocks and connect them with each other. You can try that now if you haven't tried it before. You can drag these blocks in and out and attach them to each other. Now, this is the coding area. Okay, so whenever I talk about different parts of the software, if I'm telling you to look for a coding block, let's say I said to look for the sound coding block, the start sound coding block, then you go over here onto the sounds, you click on sound, and then you look for start sound. Okay, so this is the start sound coding block, and then you can attach it to the middle here. All right, up the top of the bar, we have 3 tabs. Okay, these are called tabs. The first tab is the coding tab. This is where we are at the moment. The code tab is where we see all of our coding blocks. The second tab is called costumes. Now, when you click on costumes, you see that our cat has 2 costumes. And then when you click on each costume, you can see that the cat has different looks on each costume. And the cool thing is that in the costumes tab, you can also change the color of the cat, or you can draw more features on the cat. For example, I'm going to draw a mustache on my cat. So I click on the brush. I'm going to draw a red mustache. And then I just draw a red mustache on my cat like this. All right. I can also change the color of the cat. I want to make it a black cat. So I can click on the paint bucket tool, change the fill color to black, and then I can make mine a black cat. Okay. That's a cool little feature if you want to ever change the look of your characters. Now, next we have our sounds. So if you're looking for adding sounds or music to your game or to your story, then we click on the sounds tab. Okay, and here you can choose a sound from a menu, like you can do trumpets, trombones, some strings, and lots of other sounds, right? You can choose a sound here, or you can record a sound by clicking on the record button. Okay, so you can add lots of different sounds and lots of different music to your games as well. Okay, any questions about the costumes tab or the sounds tab? Raise your hand if you have questions about the costumes tab or the sounds tab. Great, everybody's doing very well. Okay, now you click back into the code tab, and then we'll talk about the last two parts of our software, okay? The second last part is this. This is called the stage, okay? The stage is where your game is going to be played, okay? So you see where my cat is? This is where our stage is set, and then we can play our game here, okay? You can make your stage smaller by pressing on these three buttons, okay? This button makes the stage really small. This makes it a bit bigger. And this makes the stage fill up the whole screen. Okay? So each of these three buttons changes the size of the stage. And another thing that you can do on the stage is to tell it to play. This is called the go flag. When you click on the go flag, that tells the stage to start your game. Okay, but we won't need to worry about it just yet. When we're when we're playing the game, then we'll press on this go flag. And then finally, we have our sprites and backdrops down here. So a sprite is another word for a picture. Okay. A sprite is a computer game language for a picture that you can move around and do stuff, okay? So this cat here is a sprite. You can add more sprites by going choose a sprite. You can try that now. You can click on choose a sprite, and you can add any other sprite to your stage. So I can add some cheesy puffs. I can also add some a ballerina. And I'm going to add also some bananas. Okay, so you can add more items to your stage by clicking on the sprite button down here. Okay, you can try that now. You can try adding lots of stuff to your stage if you haven't done it before. Okay. And the final thing is that we can change the backdrop, which is this white backdrop here right now. It's all white at the moment, which is pretty boring. So we're going to add a new backdrop. So you go choose a backdrop, and then you can make it a park, or you can make it another backdrop like a beach, maybe. Okay. So when we say to choose a sprite, you click the button down here, the button that has a cat head on it. And if I ask you to choose a backdrop, you click on the choose a backdrop button. Okay. So dribbling a ball is not like dribbling, like having saliva fall out of your mouth, right? Dribbling means that you are kicking the ball in a short distance away from you, trying to move the ball with your feet. Okay, so we're going to learn how to do that in Scratch. Okay, so we're going to need to do a little bit of coding. So let's start a new project. Okay, so here you have your Scratch software. I want you to click on File and then click on New. Once you click on New, it's going to ask you if you want to replace the contents of your screen. You say yes. Okay, so you click on New, and then you go OK. And then you should be back to this cat. Now what we're going to do is we're going to delete this cat because we don't need this cat for this game. We click on the sprite, the cat sprite, and then there's a little bit of a rubbish bin on the top right corner. So you click on this rubbish bin to get rid of the cat. So now it is a completely blank canvas. Now for our soccer game, we're going to be controlling our character from the top-down view. That means that we want to be looking at the top of the person's head. So you go choose a sprite. And then I want you to click on people, okay? So here up the top, I want you to click on people. I want you to scroll down until you see people where you see the top of their heads, okay? So we got Tatiana, Taylor, and Trisha, okay? Who else can we see the top of their heads? I think that's the only three, okay? So I want you to choose a character that you want to control, okay? I really like Trisha. Trisha looks like she's very sporty, but you can choose Tatiana or Taylor, just somebody where you're looking down from the top of their head. I'm going to choose Trisha. All right. So now with Trisha selected, we're going to make it so that she is getting controlled by our mouse. Make sure your character is selected, and then we go into events to bring in a when flag clicked block. So an event is a special occasion, right? It is a special occasion or a special time that's not like just normal time, right? An event can be like a birthday party or a swimming carnival or anything like that, right? So when we look at events in Scratch, it's exactly the same thing. The special event is when the flag is clicked. So we're telling the computer to do something when I click on this green flag, okay? All right, so let's continue on, okay? So now that we know what this event is, when we click on the flag, we're going to give it something called a forever loop. So you scroll down to control and look for this C-shaped block with the word forever written in it. In the forever loop, this is going to tell the computer program, tell our character here, tell Trisha for me, or Taylor or Tatiana for you. It's going to tell this character to do something continuously, not just once, but to do something continuously. What is this character going to do? Well, we want this character to do two things. One, we want it to look at wherever I'm pointing with the mouse. Okay, if I'm pointing to the left-hand side, we want the character to look towards the left-hand side. If I'm pointing to the right-hand side, I want the character to look to the right-hand side. Okay, so that's the first thing. We want our character to look at where our mouse is pointing. The mouse is this machine here, our pointer, right? So let's do that first thing. We go into motion, and then you look for point towards mouse pointer, okay, and put it in the forever loop. Okay, so when you drag it, you should be able to drop it straight into the gap inside the forever loop. Now, all you have to do is press on this green flag button, the go flag. And then you'll see that now your character is constantly looking at your mouse. See? You see that no matter where I'm pointing, my character is going to be looking at me. And if you wanted to stop, then you press on this stop button right next to the go flag. Okay. So who wants to suggest what the next step should be?
Move 10 steps. And if you don't want to keep shaking, do around the point towards mouse pointer and move 10 steps using if then, and then put more than 10 distance to mouse pointer.
So let's start by making it so that we're pointing to the mouse pointer and moving 10 steps first, okay? So let's press the go button, and then, whoa, we can see that now our character is also following our mouse. How cool is that? Is your character following your mouse? All right. Now here's the tricky part. If we stop our mouse from moving, our character does this little shake. Now, this is a problem because this will make you a bit dizzy, right? This is going to make the game a little bit dizzy. So we're going to stop the code and then add something called a condition. So a condition is a mathematical way of saying to do something only if a certain condition is met. A condition is like we're saying that we only do something when something happens. Okay, and that is the basis of coding. Coding is about telling our machines, telling our code to only do something when certain conditions are met. Okay, so let's try that. So here we're going to add an if-then statement. So here we're going to control and then look for an if-then block. Okay, this if-then block, we need to put it inside the forever loop and surround the other blue blocks that we have, because we don't want to do those blue blocks all the time. We only want those blue blocks to work at a certain condition. We want to make it so that if the distance from the mouse is more than 10, that's the only time we want these blocks to execute. So we're going to operators, and then we look for the more than symbol. The more than symbol is the one that is pointing to the right. And then we want it to be the distance to the mouse being more than 10. So we get rid of the 50, turn it into a 10. And then for the other block, the other gap here, we go into sensing, and then we put in distance to mouse pointer. Wow, that's a lot of code for our first lesson. When you press go, you'll see that now when our character reaches our mouse, it's no longer going to shake. And now we're going to add our ball. So here, let's choose another sprite. And our sprite is going to be a soccer ball. I don't think there is an actual soccer ball in here. You click on sports. So I'm going to use, hold on, there is a soccer ball. So click on soccer ball. And then what I want you to do is make that soccer ball size 200 so that it's a bit bigger and not too small. Make sure you've got the soccer ball clicked so that there's a blue line around your soccer ball, and you have a soccer ball picture in the coding area. Okay, in the corner of the coding area, it's got a soccer ball. Now we start off by giving it an event so that it knows when to start. So when flag clicked, and now what we're going to do is give it a loop, same way that we gave a loop to our character. Go into control, have a forever loop around it. And then inside, we're going to give it another if statement, just like the character. Except this time, we're only going to do something if we are touching the character, which means that the character has touched the ball. In sensing, because we're sensing if something is happening, right? We're sensing if it is touching the character, okay? So instead of touching mouse pointer, we change it to touching Trisha. But of course, you put in the character that you're actually controlling. So mine is Trisha. Yours could be Tatiana or Taylor. If it is touching the character, now what should we do? Who wants to have a go of doing the next part?
So you go to motion and move, get the move 10 steps and turn into move 50 steps.
Cool. This looks good. Let's have a try. So we're kicking the ball, but then you'll find that if I try to kick the ball from the other side, it doesn't work. So it's always going the one direction. So that's an excellent suggestion. There's one more block we need to add before this can possibly work.
Underneath, put a if on edge bounce.
If on edge bounce, yeah, we can put an if on edge bounce in there. But it's still not going to. Oh, okay, so we're clicking it to the left and right. Okay, but now the up and down is not working. So if on edge bounce is going to make it so that it bounces back to the left and right, but it is not doing the up and down. So the final thing that we're missing is we need to spin the ball around based on where the character is. Okay. So all we have to do is go into point in direction. We'll go point towards the character, and then we're going to move, and then you'll see that it is now sort of getting stuck on the character. That's because we need to now change it to minus 50 steps. Now, I'll explain why. We need to kick the ball away from the character, okay? Which is why we have the ball face the character when we touch it, but then it has to move backwards because it's now facing the character. The ball needs to move backwards, okay? So here is how we would get it so that the ball is now being dribbled properly, okay? And then you can also change your backdrop. So make it a more sporty field, right? I'm going to change mine to soccer field. Okay.